Hey guys, what's up? This is Rapid Starcraft, and this is a game between FXO's tgun and a player named O'Reilly, who I believe is on Lowland Lions. So at the time of this recording, I believe O'Reilly is like 100 points elo ahead of tgun. But this is a Zerg versus Zerg on the Shattered Temple, and talked to tgun about this, and he was like, sure, I'll send you the replay, because apparently this was quite epic. So we're gonna trust tgun's judgment on this one. So they are spawning close positions by air, which means we get to see the Overlord high five right here, and 3, 2, 1, oh, there they go. Best friends for about 2 seconds as their bodies intertwine. Apparently that's a Zerg thing. Anyway, so Zerg versus Zerg, Shattered Temple, not a whole lot of imbalance unless you are like one of those hardcore arguers, and I'm sure you could find something to argue about here. So anyways, FXO's tgun, Bradley something or other, can't remember his last name, most notable for being on FXO's team when they were the first foreigner team over in Korea in the GSTL, where he did see a couple of games. So that's probably where you know tgun from. He's a really strong SEA player, won a couple of SEA, I think he won 3 SEA Cups for something or other. He is one of the big names over there, you know Moonglade and maybe King Jazzbaz and a few other ones from things like the PPSL or IPL4 qualifiers or the surrounding shenanigans. But anyways, that's how you know tgun. But over here is O'Reilly, and not a lot of people know him very well. He is on Lowland Lions, most notable for their Han team, I believe. But aside from that, he is 91st currently on the European ladder in Grandmasters, so speaks really well for him. Back to the matter at hand, we do have both hatcheries going down. If you look at this production tab, that's a little bit ridiculous. So mirrored builds, this is by far the best build for this map. I guess if you're spawning so far away, it's gonna take so long for your lings to get all the way around here. Yeah, so that was hella boring, but now you know how long it is for the lings to run over there. You can put on some early pressure if you try to go like fast banelings, but it's really not worth it. It's more worth it to go ahead and throw down the, I believe that was a 16, I think it was a 16 hatch. I think actually waiting until like a 17 hatch is the most economic build you can do with Zerg as far as queen timing is concerned, because you do delay that by, or 15 hatch, but not that I'm a Zerg player, that's just what I've heard from people here like tgun. So tgun sending out his overlords to form an arc around the base of O'Reilly to see if and when any Zerglings decide to come out there. We do have the first drones transferring, as he does not have both hatcheries rallied to his natural quite yet. If we go ahead and check out the income tab, we can see that there's a lot more gas going down for tgun, as he does have well, it looks like he just has 3 drones in there, whereas apparently only 1 drone. Actually, no, there's 3 there, so we should see this try to equalize in a minute. There's just 1 drone on there for a second, just so he could get enough gas. So hopefully he'll be spending that on building his banelings nest. That's what he was looking for. So he's going to mine a lot of gas for banelings, and it does look like both players are going to be going for baneling play. So that's the build orders out of the way. We do have Zergling speed on the way as well. O'Reilly's macro seems to be a little bit better, is getting a little bit few more drones there. We do have Zerglings and pretty much mirrored builds. Their speed is going to finish at about the same time, and if we go ahead and check the vision of tgun real fast, we can see that he has, vision of all the key areas. He has a Zergling here to check for the expansion, if he's going to go for anything earlier. And if we go ahead and check the vision of O'Reilly, we see basically the same thing. He's choosing to scout the expansion with an Overlord looking to come around in for the side scout on the expansion. We don't have the Overlord, which would be that one, for tgun sneaking around there, so a little bit better map control for O'Reilly. Also checking these destructible rocks, see if he's going to try to expand up here for something sneaky. But right now, 2 base versus 2 base. We just see the scout in making all kinds of patterns, but at every sharp angle you do get a hit off on your Zergling, so that was not exactly the best way to run away from those lings, but you do have to kind of stay away from the creep. Here come in 2 scouting lings, so we're going to go ahead and see if these guys can get into the base. They run around the spine crawler. 1 ling does survive, however, gets hit once, sees the morphing banelings, and is going to get a full scout in here for for O'Reilly until he gets picked off there by that queen. So that's about the extent of the scouting information. If we go ahead and check T-Guns again, he has scouted earlier on in the game, tried to get one in there earlier, but that spine crawler is going to kill that Ling in one hit, does not make it up the ramp, so he's going to have to try and get an Overlord scout. But queens are faster than Overlords, so especially on creep, if you do scout with an Overlord, you are going to lose it. You can use it to, like, you know, delay inject timing, but that's, you know, not really worth it, losing 100 supply. Interesting thing I learned from Navi Says Listen from ATL, I believe. I forget what that stands for. It's a French league that she just got accepted to. You can run a drone over if you go Evolution Chamber first and build a Spore Crawler underneath the 13 Overlord, or the 10 Overlord, whenever you build it, whatever the timing for that Overlord is. The Spine Crawler completes right as the Overlord pops out, and it's a guaranteed kill on the Overlord if the Spine Crawler does not go down. So just a little bit of sexy Zerg knowledge dropping out there. We do have Roaches and Banelings coming in for O'Reilly, a really early timing attack, but we do see a double Evolution Chamber block, 4 Spine Crawlers, and that's going to be plenty enough to hold off this attack. They cannot squeeze in between there. They're just going to try to focus down this Evolution Chamber, but I'm not sure that that's a good idea, because not only would that allow a wider access ramp for all of these forces from T-Gun to go in, but it also spawns Broodlings. Broodlings go out, and it does not coordinate his attack very well to go out there with the Broodlings, which would block a lot of surface area from the Zerglings. So that's enough of a victory there for O'Reilly. We do see 88 supply to 68 supply, so ouch, not looking too good for our heroes. While I was explaining a lot of that other stuff, we did see a lot more macro happen for O'Reilly, and it does look like they're actually going to get broken down by T-Gun there. So we don't see these rocks broken down at the gold base, and not in the same position, although here he goes over to break down these rocks as well. So pretty mirrored builds, although he being T-Gun is going to break down the gold rocks as well. We do not see O'Reilly doing that. So T-Gun going to take this opportunity to show that he's breaking down these rocks, but there is not vision of this rock, of these rocks, of the gold expansion rocks for O'Reilly. So he cannot see that. It does send the Overseer in to get the scout on T-Gun's base, but Overseers faster, have a lot more armor, I believe. Yeah, 1 armor as opposed to the Overlord's 0, so it does make them a lot better for scouting. They can outrun queens, they are faster. Is he going to get away? Yes. Does not go ahead and opt for that Changeling drop into the base, but does send it over here in time to see that the destructible rocks at the gold expansion have been taken down, and now are down, in fact, for O'Reilly. So we do see an earlier hatchery there, the hatchery just coming down here from T-Gun, and looks like a really Ling-heavy force. Drops the creep from the Overlords to allow the advanced positioning of all 5 of these Spine Crawlers, 6 Spine Crawlers there, so that's a pretty Roach-type wall there. So he's going to send the Zerglings around, see if he's gotten greedy and gotten a 5th base, but he's going to send them around to start working on these rocks, but the Overlord from O'Reilly has all the scouting information in the world. In fact, if we go ahead and check out his vision, you can see that he has not scouted this base up here, but he's got to assume it's there. Has not scouted this either recently, but he has that Overseer there, just waiting for it to be thrown down. So not sending his Roaches over there. Oddly enough, no, he's opting to counterattack. He's going to use the Roaches as a wall, and here come in the Banelings. Are they going to get some sick hits off of these Zerglings? T-Gun cannot send the Zerglings out because there are Banelings there, and right now the majority of T-Gun's army is trapped up here in what would be the 6th base for O'Reilly, so that's not looking good. I remember a couple of times Flash lost games. Flash, Brood War SC1 player, lost games because he got his army in such positions like this. So he's going to try to flank from 2 different directions. Little does he know there is 1 choke. He's going to try to kill these Roaches off right now, but look at this giant counterattack. O'Reilly knows that all of the, but what is this nonsense? Guess who hasn't been paying attention to the production tab? This guy. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 investors with so many fungal growths. That's brilliant. You set up the Spine Crawlers and then run up with the fungal growth so they cannot run away from the massive DPS of the Spine Crawlers. So 25 damage, 30 versus armored, and those were just what the doctor ordered. Somehow, T-Gun did take that opportunity to allow the lapse in attention from O'Reilly to get his Lings out of that death trap. They do run over here to try to break down the rocks to get it, but he's just going to put himself in the same bad position, tries to run them away, keeps breaking down the rocks, but those Banelings are going to come in here, and if he does decide to use them, no, he does not, yes. Kills off all those Zerglings right before they kill the rocks, 200 hit points left. They do opt for a cancel while those roaches were busy. So much multitasking here from tgun. Kills off the hatchery at the gold base, and this is going to be tgun's opportunity to throw down a gold base of his own. So 3 base right now versus 3 base. If we go ahead and check the income tab, we can see so many minerals for both players. That's what happens when you have a 3 base economy. If we go ahead and check the Harvester tab, we can see that it is 76 to 67, so whenever you see opposite numbers like that, you can tell there's a 9 drone difference, and that is kind of a lot, although they are a lot more even now, as the count did go down there for tgun, or for O'Reilly. I do need to work on my map presence here, so let's go ahead and switch back to the production tab and see what we have going on as far as action is concerned. Let's take a look at the first player view of tgun, and we're going to see a little bit of nauseation here. Do see an Ultralisk Cavern out, has chitinous plating almost completed, along with carapace level 2, adrenal glands for his Zerglings, whereas Zerg missile attacks and groove spines are going up for O'Reilly. So O'Reilly is really investing, gosh, say that 5 times fast, really investing heavily into this roach tech with the ranged attack upgrades, whereas it's all melee all the time here for tgun. He does have out those Ultralisks, which are going to be great buffers for these Zerglings. Going to be able to tank the damage from these Spine Crawlers quite nicely. That is a lot of Spine Crawlers. 8 Spine Crawlers there for O'Reilly, and that's going to be a really stout defense. Gosh, I keep saying O'Reilly and then really in close conjunction with one another. Counterattack here by the Lings are going to break down that rock, so tgun notices in time. He could sneak his Lings in there, but the Roaches do push back, occupying the, oh my goodness, the fungal growth plus the Ultralisk splash damage are absolutely destroying all of O'Reilly's Roaches. This is insane. He goes ahead and preemptively throws down those infested swarm eggs, which apparently are what those are called, like anyone knew that, for the infested Terrans, but tgun just goes ahead and backs away, and that's a whole lot less energy on O'Reilly's Infestors. So if we double click Infestor count, we do see lots of Spine Crawlers, but only 5 Infestors. Actually, that's 6 Infestors for O'Reilly, whereas we do have 7 Ultralisks. Yes, 7 Ultralisks, and a whole lot more Infestors. That's 8 Infestors for tgun. So this is just such a wacky strategy. Like, this is the ultimate defense. You can't scout. Oh, look at that. Look at that Changeling. Is he going to notice it? No, the Changeling exists among us. They live until they don't anymore. So we see the massive army in the middle for tgun getting scouted by the Overlord of O'Reilly, but not a whole lot of anti-air, finally getting Baneling speed, but level 3 missile attacks versus level 3 melee attacks. We're going to see if Ultralisks can finally have their day, and amidst the CC from the Infestors are going to be actually worth it over, say, things like Broodlords. As they both did go for land armies, the Spire finally coming down here from tgun. You're gonna look for the future. You're gonna see the Spire thrown down now, so that once these Ultralisks have their day, you can go ahead and transition into Broodlord tech, as people are, or by people I mean O'Reilly, actually do already have tons of Hydralisks, so that's really what the ranged attacks were. I didn't see him switch over quite that fast, but it is going for a heavy Roach Hydralisk army, and they do have equal numbers. Usually you want to go a little bit heavier on the Roaches to buffer for the Hydralisks, but tgun does not need that. He's just going to go Baneling. Oh my goodness, he's going Baneling Ultralisk, throws down a couple of Beach Balls to kill off this Overlord. Overlords cannot outrun infested Terrans, and so that will die. Just wants the lack of scouting. If we go ahead and check the vision for O'Reilly, we can see that now he does not know what is going on here in the middle of the map. So this is where the massive army for tgun is going to be, well, massed, I guess. So 10 Ultralisks and more, like 8 Infestors, so many Banelings, but we did see a few burrowed Infestors sneak all the way over here. Plenty of reaction time though. Here come the burrowed Infestors going up here. Do they have enough energy for more infested Terrans? They each have enough for 1. Actually, one has enough for 1, and now they both have enough for 1. But that was some sexy little play. I didn't even see that coming in, you know. If you can see things before I see them, then, well, you kind of win. Just kidding. So that is prompting some Spore Spine combos at each one of these bases. None up there quite yet. There come the Maynard of drones. If you don't know what Maynard is, he was an SC1 player who maybe named after the famous economist John Maynard Keynes, developed the most economic way for transferring drones, but that's not important because we have so many spine crawlers and tgun just suiciding in all of his ultralists here with the Greater Spire on the way, sending in so many banelings, killing off all of the beach balls, but there are still more coming in from all of the infestors from O'Reilly, and goes ahead and fungal growths the beach balls, so I guess that is the only way to be more cost effective there, but does kill off so many of those spine crawlers, but does manage to get some of his ultralisks through, so they do melt extremely fast to all the DPS of the infested Terrans and the hydralisks there. Plus, that's just a whole lot of units, but that is one lone ultralisk goes ahead and kills off 3 or 4 of the infestors before it does die valiantly. So we do see Broodlord tech on the way from both players. 3 more hydralisks out for tgun, and tgun has brought himself back quite nicely into this game. We do see more continued harassment from these infestors here by O'Reilly. They do go ahead and retreat over there, just saving some time, waiting for them to accumulate some more energy. Gotta take a little bit of a drink. Lots of hype action here. More Zerglings. So tgun just goes ahead and maxes out again on Zergling Infestor. Ultralist has plenty of coverage from the Overseer to detect any sort of burrowed infestor ploys. So we do see right now 8 infestors all burrowed. Gonna try to go out there and scout a little bit, but there is an Overseer there. Once again, the double beach ball technique of getting that done needs a fungal growth to keep it from escaping. But that's how you do it. You get an infestor out there, unburrow, and then, oh my goodness, that's so sick. That's so sick. You burrow it, send it out there right on the edge of the army, and get just enough range to throw off a fungal growth and then retreat. So if we go ahead and check out these guys, they have regened a whole lot of energy. We'll see if they go over here to kill not so many drones up here, but because there aren't any drones there, we do see that tgun is mined out in his base. He's mined out in his natural almost, so he's going to be running off 2 to 3 bases. Now here comes his push into the middle. Gets a few links fungal growth. I'm not sure if that was the right decision, but goes ahead and uses half of the links for buffer. Have to send up here, and is he going to be able to kill off this base? Not very economically productive right now, but he is going to kill it off. But meanwhile, is that going to pull O'Reilly's army out of position? No, he's just going to sack that base, and that was a really effective trait, using half the Zerglings to buffer and then the other half to go up here, and man! That's how you check the radius of a fungal growth, guys. That thing was absolutely ridiculous. Not quite enough to kill off the Zerglings, but here comes in the Ultralisk, but the Broodlords are out for O'Reilly, and they just go ahead and, quite frankly, destroy, which was not frankly at all, those Ultralisks. I have a feeling there are a few more graphic combos you could think of there, but Ultralisks are not what's in tgun's army right now. It is going to be this late game Infestor Broodlord Corruptor mix, and this is kind of like the, this is cool, Bio really splitting off 3 Broodlords. This is going to be his version of the more expensive Zergling counterattack that tgun just did, sending off a few Broodlords, but now they are having to fall back and flank as this ground army is coming up here. So many roaches for O'Reilly. That's really not what he wants there. He wants to have this army, and this is going to be like late game Sky Terran, except that O'Reilly's not quite as far ahead as tgun is into switching tech. So the Corruptors, look at this, Broodling versus Broodling battles. That is the most pointless thing I've ever seen, except that there are Corruptors here to go ahead and kill off the Broodlords for O'Reilly. O'Reilly does get a couple of nice fungals off on tgun's Infestors, who do decide to go ahead and use the last remaining points of their life to throw off some beach balls to kill off most of the Infestors for O'Reilly, and O'Reilly really slipping up here in his unit composition. So many Broodlords occupying the bulk of his army on the ground, and so much more supply in the air for tgun. Right now we have 8, 9, 10, 11 Broodlords to just the 1 Broodlord, and the fungal growth absolutely destroying all of the Corruptors for O'Reilly, so there's just nothing to take down these Broodlords, and these Broodlords are going to win tgun the game. This is so cost effective. You're spending nothing but Broodlings. And the Corruptor count does go ahead and get up a little bit higher, but here comes the fungal growth from tgun's Infestors. Gonna get off 1 fungal growth and then send it back. 2 fungal growth, kills off 1 of the Corruptors. Meanwhile, we did see these guys go ahead and kill off a lot of drones. Go ahead and check out the income tab. We see that there's a much better income from tgun, as he does have 90 harvesters. That's what he's spending his supply in right now, and as we see the, wow! That's a lot of Corruptors out from O'Reilly, and that just shifted the tide of the battle 180 degrees, which is opposite. I almost said 360, which is kind of pointless. But so many Corruptors allowed him to completely take domination of the air battle. Some transfused micro on the Corruptors there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, so much action going on here, but it does look like the key here is the Infestors. These two still alive for O'Reilly being useful, but the majority of T-Gun's Infestors are in fact still alive. That's a Slayer. That doesn't have any kills. Not enough kills. 7, so another Slayer, so a couple of them there. Goes ahead and transfuses with the Queens all of the Infestors, so he wants those guys to hang around for the next level of Zerg promotions. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but let's go back to the production tab. We can see just massive, massive air armies, and O'Reilly knows he has to get up a little bit more macro to be able to sustain himself. See, T-Gun has this bank from having 100 Harvesters this whole time, whereas O'Reilly has not developed this bank. He's been spending more into that ground army, which really set him behind as far as this bank is concerned. See, what you do Zerg versus Zerg, you can either spend all of your money and keep really, really low hyper-aggression, but with Zerg you really have to attack with your whole army at a time. So you stockpile larva, and here comes in another Zergling counterattack, gets somewhat stopped by a fungal growth. A few last roaches left over here from O'Reilly. Not sure if they were that useful, but the Zerglings do come in here and wreak havoc amongst the drone line. So T-Gun is going to pull ahead in the economy that way. But oh my goodness, a massive fungal growth comes up from O'Reilly's Infestors all over T-Gun's, and that is going to be a lot of Corruptors very soon. So many red Corruptors. That last fungal growth is going to kill off all the Corruptors for T-Gun, and right now T-Gun desperately needs a Corruptor count. He is 20 supply down. He is macroing up a whole lot more Corruptors, as that is all he needs. But right now, if you control the Corruptors, you control the skies, and then you use the few Brood Lords remaining to do as much unlimited damage as you could ever want, majoring all of the drones up here. But here come in a couple more Infestors who have evidently done their work. Here's a couple more fungal growth Terran infested things I'm not paying attention to. But gosh, T-Gun is hanging in here by the skin of his teeth. You notice that 2,000 minerals that was gone? Yeah, it's not there anymore. He spent it all on making these guys, and that's where all of his gas went too. So now we see the opposite situation. We have more drones for O'Reilly, so it's kind of a flip-flop from earlier, except that T-Gun needed that flip-flop to pull back in his favor, whereas, oh my goodness, he went ahead and burrowed all of his Infestors here just because he knows this is the base that's going to be up for contention. All the other bases mostly mined out, and here comes in the deciding battle. He's going to unburrow. He's going to snag most of the Corruptors for O'Reilly, but there's so many more Infestors here. That's almost 16 Infestors. It's just going to be who can get off the fungal growth. 6 beach balls from both players. No Overseers here, so he cannot see the Infestors. They do unburrow right as the infested Terrans are hatching. Several of them are going to die from O'Reilly, but there are so many Corruptors here from T-Gun. So many infested Terrans that are low on life, low on health, but they are going to be able to go out there and kill off a lot of them. More Corruptors here, as this is the home field reinforcing advantage from T-Gun. Does not want to send them over top of those infested Terrans there, but it looks like O'Reilly, yeah, came out quite ahead in that engagement. So non-stop aggression here. We do see a not cost-effective trade here for T-Gun. Throws his Zerglings against that wall of expendable corrupted or infested Terrans. Man, my words are kind of leaving me. 40 supply or 30 supply difference, and this Infestor for O'Reilly, 48 kills. This guy's a metamorph. Like, you don't see that too often. That's how you get that unbreakable achievement. Is apparently with O'Reilly's Infestors. Another Ling counterattack completely thwarted by horrible pathing, and that, my friends, is a lot of dead Zerglings. Not that that really matters. T-Gun's just kind of buying time for himself, and right now we can see all of these Infestors for O'Reilly. This is kind of like late game Terran used to be in Brood War. You just have so many energy based units that you could efficiently or cost effectively trade units. Because you were trading units, you were trading energy. And it looks like T-Gun's caught onto the game, does have his own Infestors, but has also mixed in some Queens. And I love those Queens because they are going to be able to extend the life of these Corruptors, of these Infestors, which are going to be dying from fungal growths. And if you can get some transfuses off, that's one more fungal growth you have to throw down, and allows you to reposition your units as well. Takes out the Overseer. So let's go ahead and check out the vision here from O'Reilly. What can he see? O'Reilly, he's got some side up here with this Infestor who regens all of his energy and is continually harassing these two bases up here. It's just so hard to deal with that. Like, that's the APM cost. That's a very high APM cost to deal with a burrowed Infestor up here. You have to get an Overseer over there, you have to reposition your army, you have to get units over there, you have to find it eventually, and here comes the Overseer, and he does see the infested Terran, or the burrowed Infestor. Backwards a little bit. So here come off the drones. He's going to start suiciding some drones. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. You should probably just turn those into spine crawlers, freeing up a little bit of supply to max out on Corruptors. The level 3 Zerg flyer attacks coming out from O'Reilly, whereas we only have level 1 for the Corruptors of T-Gun. So it looks like O'Reilly has been in a dominant position for most of this game. Fluctuated a little bit there during the mid-game, but now O'Reilly's Broodlords are vying for position over one of the last mining bases for T-Gun. Pretty much the entire map has been mined out here on the Shattered Temple, which is not something you see every day. This is like those insane Terran versus Terrans, but here comes in the flanking force from T-Gun. He is going to reposition his Infestors. Does he have more fungal growth? He does. They are trading, but he only had a few Infestors there for T-Gun, and gets all the Infestors from O'Reilly. O'Reilly burrowing his Infestors. Going to try to come around from behind and get sick fungal growths off on these Infestors for T-Gun. Here come around the fungal growths. Dun, 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 infested Terrans. No, just massive amounts of infested Terrans, massive amounts of fungal growths. But it does look like O'Reilly winds up with about the same amount of infestor count. Right now we see another so pointless battle. Zerg late game is all about utilizing your energy efficiency, because Zerg spends minerals, whereas other races spend, or have more durable units. They just chunk their minerals into disposable units, and this is how you create disposable units for free. So this is why they're switching into such an energy-based game. But it does look like a better infestor count for T-Gun is going to kill off all of the infestors from O'Reilly. There's a Nidus here saving the lives of all of his infestors. He just puts them in there to save them from all of the infested from the fungal growths. But it does look like a better air army out of better fungal growths from T-Gun is going to be winning him the game this time, as he does really tries the link counterattack shenanigans of T-Gun, but he tries them with roaches, which turns out are not that effective. They're getting some drone kills, but that's not exactly what you want. And right as I was about to get this game to T-Gun, we go ahead and check out the supply count, and we see that T-Gun's supply is 110 to 175, so that's a lot of lings being produced right now by O'Reilly. So if we go ahead and check out his army, this is what it is. So we see lots of Corruptors, lots of Infestors, and that's basically what it's going to be. Not a whole lot of Broodlords. If we go ahead and check out the unit tab, we can see that there are no Broodlords in O'Reilly's army, whereas there are still 4 for T-Gun. So T-Gun is just going to like babysit this base up here, and this one to a lesser extent, because these bases are the only ones mining. Here comes in some lean counterattacks, possibly just bringing up supply, possibly trying to get in there. The Banelings go ahead and suicide in on those lings from O'Reilly. I'm not sure if he was just bringing up supply, but right now it is relatively even. There are a lot of Zerglings, which are really cheap supplies, so you can consider them about even. If we go ahead and check the Infestor counts up here, 12 Infestors for O'Reilly to the 11 of T-Gun. Production tab shows just Corruptors and Broodlords being made, and it looks like these are going to be our late game armies. We see similar income positions from both players. In fact, if we check that out, we can see a lot more minerals being mined by O'Reilly, as he did not have that high drone count earlier on like T-Gun had, and so he's going to be able to sustain for a little bit longer. But if we check the straight income tab, we can see that one smart decision that T-Gun has made is that as the minerals dwindle or diminish, however you want to say, they do get to be less necessary, or less of a necessity. Drones, that is. Anyways, so fungal growths here really, really good for O'Reilly, and gonna be catching all of the infestors, or all of the Corruptors for T-Gun, and that is a massive argument of Corruptors for O'Reilly, and it does look like no matter how many times you try to transfuse those Broodlords, the Corruptor count for O'Reilly is absolutely massive, and he kills off almost the entire air army, but the switch to 36 lings may render all of these Corruptors a moot point, and this is what you're going to see. This is so sick. You transition into an air army until the opponent has so much air that then you reposition your army's supply into land units, but it does look like O'Reilly has caught on to this, such a sick fungal growth. We're going to have to turn this off and see all of those infestors kill off all of those corruptors. So if we go ahead and check out the supply, it's 82 to 135, but a lot of that supply is in drones. So you do have to keep that in mind as tgun does manage to hold off that push. So here we see the Lings that both players are remaxing out on to get rid of their massive mineral bank. Speaking of which, we do see a Ling counterattack up here, killing off this base, and before it was just annoyance, but now it is really effective, as that is half, literally half of the income. And now what are these drones going to do? Those drones represent 20 supply, maybe 30 supply, that is just useless right now to O'Reilly, which pulls T-Gun a lot more into a, well, into a lot better position. So O'Reilly has this kind of foothold up here as a staging phase for him to stage attacks on these last mining expansions for T-Gun. And gosh, man, I am absolutely wasted. This game is way too intense. Gotta hit myself up some hydration. So this is a really slick kind of fortification. You guys are spine crawlers for Nidus, and he is using the sight vision from the that's redundant, from the corruptors to Nidus the infestors up here. He's gonna beach ball this expansion or just funnel out tons and tons of Lings. He burrows the infestors, is gonna throw out infested Terrans up there, and T-Gun knows he has to keep this up. He denied mining from this expansion by O'Reilly, but is he going to be able to get up here? This is going to be one of the better, or one of the more final battles. The Lings come in there, clean up all of the infested Terrans, and that is not a lot of energy on what is a relatively significant portion of O'Reilly's army. The Nidus comes back around, but we are going to see a lot of Lings coming in here, get the surround off on all of those spine crawlers, and Adrenal Gland Lings are so effective late games at killing off buildings, almost like the Cracklings, not quite on that level. Kill off all of the spine crawlers, but not the Nidus network. So I'm surprised as to why exactly he's not doing that. He's just letting all the units inside the network come out here, and they are just like rallied up here to die? I'm not entirely sure. You do see them loading out there, but they're just getting killed off so efficiently. And right now, we see the supplies a lot more even. Granted, they have, or O'Reilly has killed off a lot of drones. Actually, as I say that, he is distance finding. Can't build a hatchery! Hero Zergling! We need to commemorate this guy. Zoom all the way up in on his grill. He is preventing O'Reilly from throwing down that expansion. If we go ahead and check out the APM tab, we can see that they are fairly even, but right now it's more decision based. Like this is like playing Protoss. It's not about your APM, it's about your decision making. T-Gun finally kills off that last Nidus network there, and now it's Ling Infestor. We saw this at the beginning, we're seeing it now. Ling Infestor switching back into Ultralisks, and this is really key. This is so key. The Ultralisks are ground units, Corruptors air units. Rocket science here, I know, but that's O'Reilly's mistake. He is building spine crawlers with a lot of his excess drones as he realizes he cannot, as O'Reilly really realizes. Yeah, I'll let that one sink in for a while. That he does need ground defense. Has a lot of corruptors, but they are not going to be very effective. They are going to be able to pick off these overseers, which are going to allow the burrowed infestors for O'Reilly. But here comes in the spine crawlers. They have crawled across the creep. They have made their way in front of O'Reilly's base. They're going to kill off this Nidus network, and this is an absolutely amazing position, kind of like the reverse of what we saw up here. This is absolutely going to be one of the final battles. Lings and Banelings coming in here from T-Gun, even having the Banelings with his army, preventing the remax on the Zerglings. He's going to go ahead and kill off the Spire, and it looks like all of the forces from O'Reilly are drones, and they are out of position. He's turning most of his drones into spine crawlers. He's just remaxing on Lings and Banelings, but against all these infestors from T-Gun, it's not going to be that good a fight. He is sending most of them to counterattack up here, but there are so many spawn crawlers, so many drones, and so many home field reinforcements. That is not going to be a very effective trade. And right now, T-Gun just rampaging through the base of O'Reilly, and it's going to look like a base trade here. Lings versus Lings up here, plenty of defense there for T-Gun. And my voice is absolutely failing me. This is way too epic. Definitely a really long ZVZ. Gonna kill my vocal cords. Tons of spine crawlers. And this is the last bastion of defense here for O'Reilly, as tgun has somehow managed to pull ahead in the supply. He's pulled ahead in the infestor count. And those 15 infestors are going to be what is eventually going to win tgun the game. He's coming in here to one of the last and kind of useless bases for O'Reilly, kills off the hatchery, and right now it's all about this. This is the last bastion of defense, as I said already. The Ivory Tower. This is the last hope for O'Reilly to come back into this game. If tgun throws his entire army against this base and loses it, that's it. That's all she wrote. There are a couple minerals up here, some burrowed drones here, as the Lings from O'Reilly did win that battle. But that's not going to be as important as this massive battle that's going on over here for O'Reilly. tgun stampeding in his Ultralisks. We're going to have to take a little bit of a closer look at this battle. So many beach balls, so many Ultralisks, but it looks like all of the energy from tgun's infestors are a little bit too much for O'Reilly to handle. Infested Terrans, OP, don't even need Medivacs for these guys. Kills off the spike crawlers, kills off the expansion. 73 supply down, 116 for FXO's tgun. Now Gosu tgun sends in his infestors for the final blow. Those corruptors are next to useless. And here go in the burrowed infestors. This is revenge for earlier when those two burrowed infestors of O'Reilly did so much damage. And now he'd better spell FXO on the map to end this game. So that is the replay. That is complete. That is a GG from O'Reilly, and victory for tgun. So props to tgun for setting me this absolutely epic game, and if you want more from this, make sure to follow him at GoSutgun on Twitter. If you want to check more out from me, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to youtube.com/RapidStarcraft. If you want some League of Legends content, it's Rapid Transit 24/7 with a 1 for the I in Transit. Thanks for watching, guys. Check back more. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, whatever you want to do, and I will see you guys in the next game. So thanks for watching. GG.